When it comes to courting, the Duggars have some pretty strict rules that don't even allow private texting, but what about FaceTime? In the Duggar family, most of the kids who are ready to start dating have started seeing someone relatively close by, whether it was a family friend like Austin Forsyth or Kendra Caldwell or someone who just lived within driving distance for weekend trips. We're looking at you, Ben Seewald, but what happens when a couple doesn't live all that close together before they get hitched, like Jill Duggar and Derick Dillard? How do they keep in touch enough to start courting from two very different places? Well, apparently, they use FaceTime and Skype. But, like texting, it's not exactly a free-for-all. Just because they're not going out to eat and bringing a chaperone, or a few, along, it doesn't mean they're without supervision. After all, the Duggars do have cell phones, but they come with some pretty strict rules about using them. The phones are basically dumbed down to just allow for the basic needs like phone calls, texting, email, and maps. There's no internet access through Safari or anything like that. Young men would have more of a struggle seeing bad stuff, so what we've done with the smartphones is that we've actually locked out Safari and any internet search at all, and then we've just had basic apps. Jim Bob Duggar shared an in-arrival with Covenant Eyes Radio. But we've seen them use FaceTime, which seems like it could lead to some serious temptation. So what's the deal? Are the Duggars allowed to text and call while courting? When it comes to texting in the Duggar house, there are always people around. When Ben and Jessa Duggar first started texting, they even included both of her parents in the group chat so that they could keep an eye on things. Phone conversations, however, come with a little more privacy. The day Ben and I started courting, we began our tradition of calling each other on the phone every night. Jessa shared about courting and Growing Up Duggar. These calls were not chaperoned. They were private just between the two of us. Technically, this is supposed to be against the rules, so did the Seewalds just make up their own courtship rules to follow, like Jinger Duggar and Jeremy Vuolo did? While they were courting, the Dillards relied mainly on Skype to help them get to know each other and see them through the long distance, but they weren't given the same privacy. In fact, there were even moments on the show where we saw Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar sitting there watching them. Talk about awkward. But it makes total sense to have your video calls monitored when you're not even allowed to hold hands or give each other side hugs for longer than 20 seconds.